Okay, welcome back. We are in the studio again. We've got Ty the Flip Man, we've got Jamil and Pace. Welcome guys again to be here. And we're going to be talking about everyone's going to share their number one tip for real estate in 2020 coming up.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Virtual Flipper Kit with everything you need to flip houses without seeing them in person. Download it now at virtualflipperkit.com.
Hey, if you're new here to the channel, I'm Jerry Norton with flippingmastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss new videos. All right, so here we are. It's 2020. We're kind of like post-COVID now. We did a video earlier where you guys shared some tips about how to kind of operate in this environment with COVID going on. And we're not afraid to talk about COVID. We'll say COVID on the channel because we're not censored. We don't do ads, so we can talk. We don't have to say the disease.
The disease. Oh, man.
Yeah, so it's 2020 right now. Crazy things are happening. It's turning out to be way different than what I thought when COVID first happened.
Yep.
We were talking about this a little bit. Now Pace and Jamil and me, we live here in Phoenix. Ty's coming here all the way from Alabama. If you didn't see our other video, make sure to go watch that. It's a long video, but it was a lot of fun. We talked about worst and best deals. And again, everybody here in this room, I'm going to put their information below in the description so you can follow them on Instagram, go to their YouTube channels, check them out too. But let's get into it. Let's talk about your number one tip. If there's one thing you could tell somebody, we'll start with you again first, Ty. If there's one thing you could tell somebody watching right now that's maybe brand new into real estate, maybe they've been in real estate, your number one tip for them on how to do this business right now in 2020.
Well, it's one tip, but
there's a lot to it.
It's not. Well, the first thing, we're going to assume that you've educated yourself, right? If you want to succeed at anything, it increases your chances of succeeding by simply knowing what to do. We'll start there. But a tip, this business boils down to finding deals, right? It boils down. Obviously, you got to have buyers, but a tip when you're out, and I try to take it from a standpoint of someone doesn't have a lot of resources when they start, as I did when I started. And when I say not a lot of resources, you may just only have gas money. It's going to at least take that, what I'm about to say. So if you're out driving $4, right, obviously you're looking for the vacant houses. They will normally stand out. They're either boarded up or grass, especially this time of year. In the spring and summer, you can notice that. But one of the things that you should look for, a couple of things, is target for rent signs. And what you're going to be looking for are the generic red and white or black or white signs, because normally that's the owner. On top of that, the real tip is when you're driving a neighborhood, some neighborhoods will be more prevalent than others for this. Maybe in the D areas, sometimes the C areas, and if you don't know what a D neighborhood is, that's the rich people live in the A's, the D's, the not so rich live in the D, and you probably can figure out what the B and C are. All right, so look for a landlord that has just put everybody's stuff out on the street. that tenant out on the street. That's probably a tired landlord.
Yeah. Just went through an eviction.
So you write down the address, you search who the owner is, either through the county website that you can find that free. Just do a search for the county, just a tax assessor, tax collector, maybe call something different in your market. Normally that information is available if you're not in a non-disclosure state or whatever. So at that point, you'll want to search and see who owns the property. You'll be able to reach out to them by mail and or by phone number, by call or text. And so you're playing the numbers game that this guy is tired of being a landlord, and this may be an opportunity for you to pick up a 4 or 5 figure payday, place it under contract. Obviously, you want to flip the contract out to a cash buyer. So,
Love it. Awesome. Great tip. Thank you, Ty. Jamil, how about you?
So my tip, it's going to be on the opposite side of the coin because, Keegley, we're a disposition company, so I should know a thing or two about selling houses. So how can you find a buyer that's ready to take your deal right now? The thing is that a lot of us have buyers, but timing is always the thing, right? If your buyer has just picked up a flip or people on your list have re-upped inventory, you have a contract right now that you need to sell and everybody's busy. Everybody's got a project. No one's ready. You are having a hard time selling your deal. What do? Hack 101 right now. You go to the MLS and you see what brand new flip property was just listed today. How can you tell it was just listed today? Well, it'll pop up as just listed. Second, you can tell it's a flip by looking through the pictures and seeing how has it been finished. Has it been finished like a flip property? If it has, get to the master bedroom. Look for clothes. If there are no clothes in the closet, you are dealing with a flip. Now what you do is you find out who's the owner of that property. You skip trace them at skipvault.com, and then you find out, you just call that person up and say, hey, I realize you just listed your property today on the MLS. You must be ready for another property to flip. I have one for you. These are the details. That buyer, timing, I'm telling you, timing is everything in this business. That buyer is ready today. The other thing that I would do on top of that is I would reach out to the agent who is listing that property. If that agent is listing that property for one fix and flip buyer, guess what she or he has more of? Fix and flip buyers. Yeah. So you want to have a relationship with that agent. You also want to be working with that seller that is going to eventually be your buyer. Guys, I'm telling you, timing wise, it doesn't get any better than that. That is reverse engineering 101 at the highest level, because timing is always it. PropStream does not tell you when the buyer is ready. This right here tells you when the buyer is ready.
So can I add to your strategy? Because I love this technique, reverse engineering flippers. A couple things I'll add to that is once you have your deal, first search the neighborhood. So when you're looking for those recent flips, because every flipper loves to flip again in 100%. The same neighborhood. That is your ideal buyer, is someone that just listed it in the neighborhood. Now you can expand out, so if you don't get a bite, you can keep going out, but ideally they're in the same neighborhood. And then another thing I like to do with that is I like to go back and see what they bought that brand new flip for.
Right.
And sometimes
tell you it's way more than what you're wholesaling at.
Yeah. Yep. So if you got a contract for, I'm making numbers up, 50, you see they bought the house, next street over for 70, there's your number. Yeah. Assuming the rehab is similar.
Yep.
But that'll tell you a lot about that flipper. What I like to do is, if they bought on the MLS, there's an existing link of that when they bought it wholesale, right? Or when they bought it old. And then I look at the pictures, I look at their retail, and I can kind of say, well, I know what they spent on rehab, I know what they bought it for, I know if they made money, I know how long it took them because I see when they bought it, when they listed it, I know if they know what they're doing. You know so much by doing that research.
Yes.
Now you bring your deal to that flipper and you know where they're at.
Or you bring the deal to the agent. I watched one of your videos recently where you brought the deal to the agent who is listing the property, and now you've made a new allegiance, a new friendship with that real estate agent who will bring you other buyers and maybe bring you other deals. And you just went directly to the agent and had them.
And it's faster because the agent info is on Zillow and it's on Redfin. Right. So you can boom, call the agent. There's no tracking down anybody.
Yeah, so if skip tracing or tax record searches are like brain damage for you, then don't do any of that. Yeah. Just call the realtor. Call the realtors and let that person earn their money.
And the agent will refer you to their for free. You could offer to pay them, but I found you don't need to because that means they're getting another listing. So they'll gladly talk to their investor.
Yep.
Love it. Awesome strategy.
Thank you.
What do you got for us?
So this is the same thing that I'm learning over and over and over, that I have to keep reverting new investors back to the same exact thing. So Jamil and I traveled the country. That's actually how I met my good friend Ask Flipman over here, or Ty. And the number one thing that pops up is, hey, I'm not getting enough deals, or I want to scale, I want this, that, and the other. My question every time back to them is, when was the last time you spoke to a motivated seller? And my tip is, you need to look at your KPI. How many conversations are you actually having? Everything in this business comes from that. Are you having quality conversations with motivated sellers?
Define every day for people.
Key performance indicator basically is a measurement tool. So for us, I was talking about KPIs yesterday. Bobby was helping us do some recording. And one of the KPIs I focus on is how many leads do I need to get one contract? Mm-hmm. And our average, the national average, what I found is about one deal comes from 50 leads. Our company is at 1 in 43, so we're a little bit better than the national average. When I'm working the leads, it's 1 in 30. But at some point, you have to replace yourself and scale up in your business, right?
What do you what do you consider a lead? Is this someone that actually wants to sell?
Yep.
Or
Somebody that's willing to talk to us about an offer.
Okay.
Number one, if they like our offer, are they willing to move in the next 120 days? This is just us. And an area that, worst case scenario, I would fix and flip in. If I ended up not wholesaling it, would I fix and flip it? That is what we consider a motivated seller.
Okay.
Now, we filter it after that, right? That's our cold callers. They do that, and then they put it into our CRM, and our team calls. And once we call.
So again, let's make sure we're straight here. Your 43 would be conversations.
Right.
So you're on the phone, you're having a conversation, that would count. A lead in itself that you can't get a hold of, it isn't counted. So that would be your lead to contract, then there's offer to contract.
Right. No. Well.
Which one are you following?
So
then?
if you get somebody put into our CRM from our cold callers or from our text messaging,
meaning somebody raised their hand.
Right. Somebody raised their hand and says, "I'm willing to take a second call from your team."
Okay.
That is considered a lead in our world.
Gotcha.
That's good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes the leads come in. You guys know this. You get leads from your team, and you're like, "This is not a great lead." I still consider that one of my 43 leads.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay?
So if someone buys a list of 10,000 names, you're not counting those as leads until you get someone to raise their hand out of that list.
That is correct.
Does that make sense? So make sure you're understanding here what Pace is saying here. He's saying someone raises their hand. It doesn't mean they've agreed on a price or even that they're serious.
Right.
But they've raised their hand. They said, I want to have a conversation about selling my house. You're closing 43 out of 100. Or no. You're one out of 43.
Leads,
one out of
right.
43. Okay.
So the thing comes down to this. So in April of 2020, we had the worst month in my wholesale business ever. You know what it came down to is one thing. It came down to the fact that my guys were just not doing the follow-up because they were all working remotely. We weren't managing the KPI of how many calls they were making a day. So our number in our company is all of our acquisition guys need to make 50 calls a day, not cold calls, 50 calls a day to our warm leads that came through our cold callers.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if they make 50 calls a day, our acquisition guys average 2 deals a week. That's it. So they make 250 to 300
Guys, this is
calls.
how you scale the business, right?
That's
You got
it.
to. It's a big funnel.
Right.
You know, they come in and they come out, but you got to get them. You want more to come out, more come in the top, right?
And so what was funny is we had our worst month in April. I think we did something like $85,000 in assignment fees. That was the worst month in wholesale I've ever had. Once I started scaling a business. Now, obviously, when I started out, it wasn't like that. It was just me and my wife, right? But when we started scaling, we had acquisition guys. The worst month was April. The best month I've ever had was May.
Because you got a handle on it.
Well, we sat down and go, what is going on? Is it
Yeah.
COVID? No, it wasn't COVID. Our average calls per day went from 55 down to 15. And that was the only difference. The difference was, are you talking to motivated sellers every day, and are you hitting your numbers? Because this is a numbers game. Are you doing the work?
Well, I cut you off, but you were trying to get your tip.
Oh, that was my tip. My tip is when you wake up every morning, your goal of the day is not, how do I streamline my podio? How do I do this? How do I work on all my
busy
systems?
work.
It's busy work. And every time I'm talking to somebody in other markets all over the country, my question is, when was the last time you talked to a motivated seller? And they go, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I go, you got to be talking to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 of them every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So Pace, you'll probably appreciate this. What I tell people is, if you want to wholesale deals consistently, 3 to 5 a month or whatever, you've got to be making 5 offers a day, which is 25 a week, Monday through Friday, 100 a month. You will start to close deals because
there's no.
When I say offers, I mean you get on the phone, you say, here's my number, yes or no, right? 5 a day, magic's going to happen.
I'm telling you, if somebody told me that they took that formula and they actually did the work and they never got a deal out of it, I would pay them $10,000. There's absolutely no possible way. The worst closer in sales of all time.
It's law of averages.
It's law of averages.
It's just going to happen.
Get deals, and then when you get a deal, you get momentum, you get confidence, then you get more deals, and you get better at it, right?
Yeah. So
That's
I read this.
all it comes
I read
down
this
to.
statistic, and it changed everything for us. The National Sales Association said that 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 12th follow-up.
100%. We
Who
were
does that? People don't do that. They say, "Oh, no, done. Throw that lead away." No, follow up.
So game changer for me. I went to a seminar. Actually, a friend of ours. This was years ago before I started scaling my individual business. I went to their seminar. I paid money. I always pay for education. Always happy to do it. And the thing that changed my mind is they opened up their CRM. And they went through and they had a KPI they were tracking, key performance indicator, It was the average amount of times they have to talk to a seller before a contract
Closing.
happened.
Okay.
It was 35 times before they talked to a seller, reached out to a seller, they texted a seller. Average was 35 times before they got a contract.
touches.
Wow. Touches. 35
yeah.
touches.
Points of contact, touches,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, man, really? I thought it was, he comes in, you have 2 combos, somebody's ready to go. It's like, no, that's not how it is. It's the GIS game is follow up and stay on top
Well,
of it.
think about Keegley on the disposition side, right?
Right.
You're assigned an associate or whatever you guys call them. That person's call. I mean, I get calls from you. Where can I help you? You know, like there's such a level of connection that you make with your buyers.
Correct.
That now when they're ready to go, you know, you're able to line everything up because you're constantly building that relationship by touching those.
100%.
I mean, that's just key to this business.
It's what kept us going through COVID, honestly. It's knowing where our buyers were and who our buyers were at that time, right?
At any given time, you know what they want, when they're ready.
Yep.
And that's
Only happens from follow-up.
Awesome.
Conversations. Quality conversations.
Yep, love it, great. So my tip, I'm going to go with a mindset idea here, and that is, you know, it's funny because since COVID hit, from the moment COVID hit, which was like middle of March or whenever, as soon as Trump said no more flights overseas, it was like boom, you know, stock market crashed the next day. To me, that's kind of like day one for us of COVID. Until now, here we are mid-June. I put out, I think, 17 or 18 videos on my channel specifically about how I'm adjusting due to COVID. And a lot of those initial videos were just like, I have no idea, but here's what I'm doing. And one of them was, I'm doing a 20% discount on all our offers. We call it the COVID discount just because we don't know. We don't know where we're headed. We don't know if the market's going to crash. We just don't know. And here now, June, I'm finding that the market's increasing. Like Phoenix real estate went up 9% in April. Like in the middle of lockdown.
In the middle of lockdown.
Like what the heck, man, is going on? My tip is, I'm not doing that discount, even though that's what I did a video. That video is like obsolete. I should probably delete it, right? Because now it's different. And in this business, things are constantly changing. You have to be adaptable. You have to be willing to change constantly with the environment we're in. And what I love about real estate is it doesn't matter if the market's up or down, people live in houses and we can make money. On the way up, on the way down, sideways, whatever ways, but we do have to adjust how we do it. You know, that's the key. So people come in and they're like, well, you know, I want to learn this way of doing something and then I just want to do it that way from now on. No, that might work today. It might not work tomorrow. And you better be willing to drop that idea and do something different just because, right? And the people I know that make the most money in this business are quick to adapt to the market. They're quick to adapt to strategy. They're quick to recognize new opportunity.
So
and they're the ones that
Jerry,
keep making money.
I do have a question. So how do you keep a pulse on the market and know how to change?
Great. So I constantly want to follow what the real estate market is doing. So I love Housing Wire.
Okay.
So they put out a morning edition article, an afternoon, and I think an evening. I pay for their subscription. I read every single article they come out. They are so on top of the national trends in real estate. So I'm learning, and I like to follow inventory, days on market, right? And there's a thing that they track, which is purchase contracts. I mean, how many buyers are going under contract. I like to look at new housing, like right now. Yeah, permits. Yep. Starts, like what are starts? Because if new construction comes to a halt for flippers, you're creating an opportunity now where if you can get a deal and you come out with a finished product, it's going to fly off the shelf for over list price. Right now, right now we're heavily buying because I know that we're having this window right now where you can't get money for deals or there's no inventory. You put that finished product out in 6 months from now. There's nothing on the market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I love what Ty said. Become a student of this business. You wouldn't go in. You wouldn't be a doctor and not get educated, would you?
No,
you can't for one. But like, and we're preaching to the choir because you're watching this video.
Right.
Yeah. People always ask me like, what if a recession happens? Then you're gonna lose all your money or whatever. My question are houses going to become free in that?
They're never free.
So that means that they're not free. That means someone is renting a house or someone is paying a mortgage or buying a house. Mm-hmm. And people are going to move, right? Which that means transactions, which that means opportunity.
That's right.
You just have to adjust with what's going on. I didn't know that back in 07, 08. Mm-hmm. All I knew is I was making more money each year, and I was living that way.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. And so when it crashed, making 20 or so thousand a month was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money, but it was definitely a lot of money back then for me. And you go down to 5, which still could be a decent living, but when you living on 20,
now you're making 5.
you know what I'm saying? It just, but the point is, I should have adjusted. That's when I should have really made some money or whatever, because the opportunity it changed. All of my buyers just basically went away because their businesses were based around the subprime lending market. You could get a ham sandwich finance back then. They would buy a house. they would buy a house, buy it from me, put a little money into it, refi, and get 80% back out, and do the same. And they just was continuously doing that. And they're about to pull the 80% out and still sell it to get the other 20% after cost, maybe another 10%, in profit or whatever. And it was just a consistent thing. But when it hit, all of them basically went away, and those were the majority of my buyers, because they were buying in areas where now pretty much are only rental areas, but back then there were rental and retail areas. It didn't matter. It didn't matter where the house was at. Right. If you rented a baby, you could have a buyer for it, because lenders were pushing those arms back then, mortgage brokers or whatever, and they were financing first-time homeowners. And, they didn't care. They were already living in that area because they were renting in those areas where there was crime, quote-unquote, war zones, but it's still an opportunity to own a house or whatever. But a lot of times they send up those arms, and they couldn't afford when the arm adjusted and that crashed the market. But opportunities exist because houses did not become.
Well, there was a lot of people that lost everything in 08 to 010, to 2010, but then there's a lot of people that never had to work again because they adapted to the market.
And that's what you're looking for. You don't want the COVID to cause all these people unemployed, but in real estate, when something like this happens, which it hadn't really happened though, it's like the real estate market hasn't crashed because of it. It's actually went up or whatever.
Well, the last 3 of the 5 recessions were net positive on real estate. Yeah. So a recession doesn't mean real estate's going to take a hit.
It was because of real estate. It was because of real estate, where the lending, which is part of real estate, is why it crashed. So that's why real estate was affected. So
just the point is, always be adaptable. I put out videos where I put out a video and I contradict something I said in a previous video because I'm learning, I'm adapting. Hey, that was working then, it's not working anymore. They'll say, hey, but you said this, and that was 2 years ago. That doesn't work anymore. Or I'm doing things different now, and you should too.
I met you. I met Jamil. So I used to be like, no, screw cash buyers. Find the deal and buyers that come. Met him. No. You know what I'm saying? No, he has me. I had to change that. Because I learned better or whatever. Both are important. But if you have a strong buyers list, you just go out there and find it or whatever. And I've always been the opposite. Because that's how I was taught initially. Is that you find the deal, the buyers will come. If it's good enough, and your actual deals will build the buyers list. If they're great deals, I mean.
So that's to add on top of your point. You've got Housing Wire. You've got a handful of places that you go absorb information, but you also network with a lot of people outside. That's a big one. Outside of us, obviously, you have friends that are builders, cash buyers, investors, and you're getting a pulse on what they're all doing during the COVID situation. So that's a big part of your thing. Is like go network and get a pulse of the thing and watch what other people are doing and adapting. We saw a lot of people slowing down on the fixing and flipping, but we saw the market and the inventory was actually staying or even dipping. We started fixing and flipping more. Actually, I told Jamil, I go, anything today I go, anything Keegley gets in this area at this price point, I want it.
Yeah, because you're going to make a killing fixing and flipping.
Yep. Absolutely. And we were doing maybe 3 flips a month. Now we're going to go up to 6. Maybe 7.
So I was like, hey, send me one of those in that area, and you're my first buyer.
Right.
Yeah. So get this, on one of my new builds, and I like this high end. It's Paradise Valley on Hummingbird Lane. I bought the lot for $1 million, tore the house down. Bought the lot for $1 million. Our budget for the new build is 1.5, all in for 2.5. Pre-COVID, we were hoping to get 3.8, maybe 4, like list for 3.99. I'm talking million, 3.9 million, all in for 2.5, right? Huge spread. We now think we can get 4.5.
Wow. I
think because of COVID, we can get 500,000 more. And the reason why is California's coming here.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just demand in on the high end all the way down to the mobile homes. because of the market situation. Well, what I'm seeing is we have California coming here, and we have East Coast coming here. They want
so
out of there.
many people.
Everybody's coming here, all the way through from low end to high end. There's demand. So we're feeling like now because of COVID, we might make another 500,000
That's amazing.
on a new construction high end deal.
Wow.
Everybody thought high end was going to get crushed.
There was a window of time where I was like, first I thought my lender would pull the plug, and not because this is construction financing on that project. So the very first thing I did is I went to the bank, sat down with them. I mean, this is 5% money on this thing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, great financing.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Had we not started, we wouldn't be funding you. But since we're in, you bought the lot. You know, you did the demo. You're pouring the pad.
You have the track history.
I have a good history, right? Which is another reason why you want to build relationships with your money people. He says, we'll keep going. And that was when they were scared. I was thinking, am I even going to be able to, is there even going to be a buyer for this house? But let's go. And now, like a couple months later, it's like, dude, I'm a rock star now. Like, we're going to crush it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, imagine selling for 4.5, all in for 2.5.
Amazing.
One deal.
Wow.
Love it.
You know what I mean? Like,
Jerry
fun.
knows how to make the money.
Yeah, Jerry knows how to make the money.
Yeah.
Once we close, then that'll be the new favorite deal, the new best deal of all time.
We'll have to do another one.
We're gonna have an office space for you in here, Jerry.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be like, this is where our luxury flip is.
You don't have to come every day.
Oh, good.
But you can help us out with the overhead.
This office is so cool, seeing everybody working like this. It's like this energy here. It's fun. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this video. Leave a comment, share your biggest takeaway from these tips, what you're going to do now with this information. It's all about application now, right? So you can watch these videos, go back to your regular life, or you can apply information right now in your business, help you get deals, help you be more successful. And we'll see you on the next video.